Learn how to submit your iOS application to the App Store. This course will guide you through every essential step, starting with the foundational tasks of registering your application ID and development devices. You'll gain a clear understanding of certificates and provisioning profiles, learning how to generate the necessary credentials to run your app on a physical iPhone or iPad. Then the course covers the process for distributing ad hoc versions for testing before diving into the final steps for a public release on the App Store. Beyond the manual submission process, this tutorial introduces the powerful concepts of CI/CD, specifically focusing on Xcode Cloud. You'll learn how to automate your build, testing, and distribution pipelines by configuring workflows connected to your GitHub repository. We'll walk through the entire setup from the Apple Developer Portal and App Store Connect to configuring TestFlight and your local Git environment. Shad developed this course.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the iOS App Store Submission Tutorial Basic Automation video series. So you have an amazing app idea, you have coded, designed, debugged, and now you are ready to share it with the world. But how do you get your app from the Xcode project into the millions of iPhones and iPads? The journey of an iOS app from development to the App Store can seem daunting, with terms like certificates, provisioning profiles, App Store Connect flying around. But don't worry, it's more straightforward than you think, and I will be guiding you every step of that way. In this series, we are going to demystify the entire iOS App Store submission process. We will start with the foundational elements: understanding and managing your Apple developer account, mastering certificates, provisioning profiles, and correctly registering your devices for testing. These are the building blocks for any successful app submission. That's not all. We will then deep dive into the modern and efficient way of doing things, leveraging the power of Xcode Cloud for continuous integration and continuous delivery, the CI/CD stuff. Imagine automating your builds, test, and even distributing your app, saving your valuable time and ensuring a smoother, more reliable release process. Whether you prefer the hands-on manual approach or want to embrace the efficiency of CI/CD with Xcode Cloud, this series has you covered. By the end, you will have a clear understanding of what it takes to get your app ready for submission, how to navigate App Store Connect, and ultimately how to launch your creation into the App Store for everyone to enjoy. So if you are ready to turn your brilliant idea into a reality of App Store, let's deep dive. So on this episode, we will be talking regarding the app ID and also the devices in Apple Developer Portal. So what is app ID? App ID basically a bundle ID using which Apple actually makes sure the app is uniquely identifiable all through Apple ecosystem. So let us create a project first. So we're gonna make an iOS app or multi-platform app. So we're gonna name our app the sample demo app. We're gonna be just copying the product name. I'm not using any team right now, and my organization name is MovieDev Talk, and it is a company, so I am writing it down as a reverse name domain, which is in a result will be com.moviedevtalk. That's how my bundle identifier is now com.moviedevtalk.sampledemo_app. So this is the bundle identifier we will be using, and I am not actually using any kind of testing system and storage right now. So let us create our first app. Here we go. We have our first app ready. Now we're going to actually use this bundle identifier to have a identify on the developer portal and also in the App Store Connect. So very first part is the Apple Developer Portal, and we're going to create a new identifier. So it will be app IDs. There is a bunch of other IDs which we will not go going this time. So we will create an app ID And then we're gonna write down the bundle ID, which is same as here we are looking at. So it will be com.movie.dev.talk.sample demo app. So this is the same bundle identifier. Now it will be used all through the Apple ecosystem. We will be seeing that we will use this same bundle ID to make a new app entry on the App Store Connect. Before that, we're gonna just make a description of what purpose this bundle identifier is using for. So for us, this is just a demo app. That's it. And I'm not using any kind of capabilities or app services right now. So the final screen is to make sure I have all the entry. If I register, then this identifier will be registered. So as you can see, this is the demo app I just created. Let us create a new app entry on the App Store Connect. We will be using the same bundle identifier. To have a new entry of the app, let us fill some form. Platform will be iOS. Name can be demo sample application. Choosing a language, and then the bundle ID, which is the same that we just created on the developer portal. Our SKU number can be the same as our bundle identifier. That's it. Let us create the app. Now we have a new app entry, and we will be using this App Store Connect service to distribute our app through our testers, through TestFlight. Let us talk regarding the devices. So on the Apple developer portal, when we want to add developer devices, there is a maximum limit. Could be like 100 iPhones, 100 iPads, or 100 MacBook Pro. And after that, we cannot use any more devices. So all the devices that need to run the app in development time need to be registered here. So let's say I'm a developer. I have one iPhone and one iPad. I need to register those devices here on the Apple developer portal. Otherwise, I will not be able to run my app on my devices. Plain and simple. Okay. Now, there is also other way to add the devices. Now, this is pretty interesting. So I will share this blog post link on the description of the video. So the way is that if we distribute the app through App Store Connect and using the TestFlight app, then Apple will automatically register those apps and register those devices, and those devices will be able to run our app. So if it is an Apple platform, then it is no issues. But if it is other than Apple platform like Firebase or Hawkeye or something like that, then we need to do some other stuff, like we need to collect the UUIDs, and then we need to add those UUIDs here on the devices. So it is kind of like pretty cumbersome thing, but this is how it works. This is how the way it has been set. So yep. Now how we can actually add the devices here. So we need to choose the platform. If it is iPhone, iPad, or something like that, we can choose it. Otherwise it's a Mac, so it's just one of two, and then the device name and the device UUID. Now finding the device UUID manually is kind of like pretty challenging sometimes, because the way get changed and you need to search on the internet, because if I say you one way, it might get changed in some upcoming years. So search on it on the internet and probably you will find a way to find the UUID, and then we need to have the device name. Now many times we actually work for the clients. Now team comes in, teams comes out. Same for the developer. Sometimes developer is here and then he actually leaves the company. So if we don't use a proper naming convention, then it becomes a very problematic thing that if this device is being used yet. So my suggestion is that we need to have a name. Let's say I am working with the team alpha. My name is Rayhan. So I gonna say this thing, right? Team alpha Rayhan's iPhone. Now if the team is dissolved, then very easy to remove this phone. And if team alpha is yet functional and I am not there, then it is very easy for the next developer to remove me, because as I said, this is like limited devices and it got renewed every year. So pretty much it for the device ID. This time we will be talking regarding the certificates. This certificate concept is something which is very confusing among the iOS developer, especially when we are actually starting our iOS development journey. And still after some years, we might still have that confusion on certificates. So let us have that full understanding. What is certificate? Why do we need it? And how to create it? And what types of certificate is there? This episode is mainly focusing on the why, when, what, and types of certificates. Certificate creation is another episode content. So let us start. Certificate is basically a digital certificate through which Apple knows that the developer is known. So when I am creating a CSR, which is the certificate signing request from my machine, Apple knows that this is me, the developer, and then I creating a certificate and then I release the app. So through that, Apple knows who is actually developing that app. So that's why certificate is required for Apple to uniquely identify the developer who developed the app. Now, there is actually two different types of certificate. But why do we need certificates, right? This is the very first question we should ask. So when we want to run our app on any of the Apple devices, we need that certificates. So if I develop an app on my Xcode and I run it on the simulator, I don't need a certificate. That's totally fine. But when I need to run that app on my development iPhone, I need a certificate. So as we can see, like whenever we want to release the app or to run the app on our devices, then we need the certificates. So there is basically two types of certificate: development and distribution. Development certificate is used on development time. So I am a developer, I have an iPhone on which I want to run the app. Then I need to create a development certificate, and through that development certificate I will be able to run the app on my testing devices. This is development certificate. Now one interesting thing is that sometimes we have a confusion regarding development certificates. Development certificate is basically for one developer, one development certificate, one developer. It is not for multiple developers. So there is a strange behavior, or I would say a different type of opinion, to use the same development certificate for multiple developers. This is not the standard. This is not for the reason development certificate is created. So under an organization, there could be multiple developers, and each developer should be able to create his own certificate. That is how development certificate works. Now, if we want to talk about distribution certificate, what are the distribution certificate? So distribution certificate is something which we will be using to release the app or to distribute the app among the devices which are not directly connected with the development machine. So I cannot directly plug a device on my machine and run that on the testing device. So let's think about that. I have a product owner who is living outside of my country, and then I need to distribute the app to his or her phone. Then I will be using the distribution certificate to create the IPA and to distribute it to that corresponding PO who is outside of my country. So that's how the distribution certificate works. Now there is three different channels how an app can be distributed. One is App Store, another one is ad hoc, and another one is enterprise. And we can easily understand App Store means that it is for the Apple App Store through which every people can download the app. Ad hoc is kind of a like smaller marketplace, and it is like very fixed user base. The developer knows who is actually using the app through email or like through already giving an access to the developer portal. And the final one is the enterprise. Enterprise is pretty much for a company. So let's say I have a company and I want to have the NOC software, and I want to only want to that app run on my employees, which is under the company. So in that case, I will use the enterprise distribution. So pretty much it. And the problem of this flow is that the distribution certificate need to be created by a single individual developer. That makes a unique challenge, because now what will happen if the developer is unavailable? Then we're gonna actually get stuck, right? So that's why we're gonna use some automation tool like Fastlane or Xcode Cloud, so that we don't have to deal with that situation where the developer who was creating the development certificate is now unavailable. So when we want to create certificates, there are a couple of options. One is for software and another one is for services. We are not going with the services section, we are going for the software section. And we can see there is category of development and distribution certificate, right? This is how it is going. Okay, now what with the Apple and iOS? So Apple means everything that is under the Apple ecosystem, which is iOS, iPad, macOS, tvOS and watchOS, and even the visionOS. But for iOS, it is just the iOS app. So we're gonna go through one by one, and for now this is just starting. On the next episode we will create a CSR and then a certificate. But before going that, if we have bought a new phone or iPad, it will not be having the developer mode enabled. So we need to do that part. I'm gonna share this link, and through that you can actually know how to enable the developer mode, so that you can use that device as your testing devices. But remember that this is only required for a development testing device, not for every device, right? So whenever you have a device which you wanted to use for development, then you need to enable the developer mode. So today we're going to talk about how we can actually create a certificate. Previously we talked about what type of certificate is there, even why we need these certificates. So let us jump onto it. Currently I am now on the developer portal, and then from certificate I can click on this bluish button, and then I'm actually selecting the Apple development because I want to run the app on all the Apple devices. After continuing, it is asking me to upload a file which is named CSR. It is the certificate signing request. So now how I can actually create the certificate signing request or CSR file? It's pretty simple. We need to have the keychain access on our app. It is already been there, so we just need to open it, and then from there we will go to the certificate assistance, and then from there we will request this one, request a certificate from a certificate authority. So let's create this one. I need to use an email ID, so I am using my regular email ID. And then the common name. So yeah, I can use like this CSR certificate is mainly dependent on my machine and my authentication. So having my name is pretty much good thing, because it will identify who is creating it. And then maybe I don't change the laptop a lot, so I don't think so there is necessary to add the laptop name. So we can keep it there. I can just have a Rayhan name, and then I can say that for which purpose this CSR file was used. So I am using it for dev purpose only. So yeah, this could be now the case. So this is only for development certificate signing request, but it can also be used for production, right? Because the CSR file is not related with dev, prod or any other version. It is mainly identifying the developer and also his authenticated machine. So maybe we don't need it. Maybe we can have a client name if it is a client work, so that I can identify that this was created for this client. Even it is also fine. But for now, I think for the demo purpose, I can just let it have the Rayhan CSR and probably have a date when I have done it. So it could be like 2025. That should be fine. And then I'm actually saving this one on my disk because Apple wants me to upload the file. So yeah, I'm just saving it on the disk. So yep, currently just saving it on the desktop. Okay, it's done. So the purpose of keychain access is pretty much done. Now I will be uploading the file, the CSR file. So let's select our directory. I save it on the desktop. Yep, and this is the certificate signing request. Okay, so now I'm choosing it and then I'm actually continuing it. So right now the certificate is created using that CSR file, and it has just will expire after a year. And yeah, pretty much it. So now I can actually download the certificate. So yeah, again I'm just saving it on the desktop. Okay, so now it has been saved, but it doesn't mean that it will work on our Xcode because we haven't done anything for it. So it is now just been there, but it is not installed in our Mac. So we need to install it. Once we have created our certificate, now it is time for us to install that certificate in our Mac. So how to do that? So already you have downloaded the certificate. If not, you can actually download it from here. So I already have downloaded it. So I'm just going on that directory. So double tapping on my certificate and it is installed. But there is an issue. This says that this certificate is not trusted. Wait, I created it, right? So what happens there? Still like that, there is a intermediate certificate in between me creating the certificate and to install the certificate in the Mac. So on my Mac, that intermediate certificate was not installed. Now I need to install that intermediate certificate. So where I can get it? From the Apple developer account, there is a certificate part, and when we was creating the new certificate, on that page we can actually find that intermediate certificate. So we need to scroll down at the bottom, and then we will see that there is two certificate, which is Worldwide Developer Relations Certificate Authority, and it's gonna expire like on 2030. I think it's good for me. So I'm just gonna save this certificate, and now I'm gonna just install it. So again, double tapping on that. Now this certificate been installed. We can see it. It is provided by the Apple Developer Relations Certificate Authority. So once it is installed, our certificate actually now is been trusted through this intermediate certificate. So that's how we actually fix it, the issue of not trusted certificate thing. So yeah, that was it. Pretty straightforward, but yet we missed that intermediate certificate part. It can happen to someone, most probably not everyone, because once I have that intermediate certificate installed on my Mac, I should not be bothered again. So yeah, and then now I can actually download my certificate and install it. It shouldn't be a problem. Even for the previous certificate or any other certificate, it can be the same. So yep, this conclude our this part of the tutorial. On this episode, we will see how to create a provisioning profile, and basically what is this provisioning profile. So provisioning profile is kind of a like container. On this container there is an Apple ID, Apple app ID, and then there could be at least one certificate. It could be multiple certificates also, and also list of devices on which this app will run, or at least are permitted to run. So that's how the development and ad hoc profiles are. But for the App Store profile, there is no device list. This is all over the world, so every device can install this app when we use the App Store profile. But for now, on this tutorial, we will only create a development provisioning profile. So let us create one. As we said, there is two type of development provisioning profile. One is development and distribution. So we will be currently focusing on the development provisioning profile. On some later time, we will go with the distribution also. Let us select the iOS app development provisioning profile, and then we need to select an app ID. So we have this sample demo app, and we wanted to create a provisioning profile for this app. So we will use this same bundle identifier or the app name. So this is our sample demo app. We are selecting this provisioning profile. Moving forward, we need to select the certificates. Now I just have only one certificate, but if you have multiple developers, say 5 developers, they should have their own development certificate. And then for this one single provisioning profile, all these certificates should be selected. So when they install this provisioning profile on their Xcode, their corresponding certificate will be used to run the app on their devices. So the next phase is to select the devices. Now again, I have only one device, but on your development team, you could have like multiple devices for all the developers. So you need to select the certificates and the devices which will be used under this provisioning profile. Moving forward, now I need to give a name to this provisioning profile. For me, it is always a dev provisioning profile, so it should be there. So I would say dev profile. Now what else? The app name. This way I know how this provisioning profile is used. It is used on development time and on which app this provisioning profile is used. As we saw here, that a provisioning profile is attached to a single app ID. So I know this app ID has a development profile whenever I am seeing this provisioning profile. So this is just a standard I follow. It is up to you how you follow. Everything is good there. And now we can actually generate it. So now our provisioning profile is generated. Now we can actually download it and install on our Xcode. So we just created our sample demo app provisioning profile. Now we're gonna edit it. Why to edit it? Because there is a situation where I need to add another device. Right now it is just one device, the iPad, but I need to run it on this Mac. So I also need to add the Mac here. My Mac is already been added as a device on this development portal. So yeah, right now I'm just editing it, and I will select the MacBook Pro model for this provisioning profile to have. So now I can actually save it, and it's now saved. So I can actually download this one. Yep, I'm gonna save it on my download desktop. So I can go on the desktop, and here is my provisioning profile. So once I click it, it will be opened in the Xcode, and I can actually select it from here, right? If it is not been selected, you can import it, download it, but it should be here because we already selected. So it will be open in the Xcode, and you can just need to select it, whichever profile is there. Now things is working because I have that certificate installed here, but most of the case it will not be. So let us give a demo. If I don't have this certificate which is used for this profile, then what will I have? So I'm just deleting this profile. I don't have it. Now on the Xcode, it will tell me that I don't have the certificate which is required for this provisioning profile. This provisioning profile can have multiple certificates. At least one of it should be installed on my Mac, but it is not there. That's why it is actually failing to complete this provisioning profile. So this happens most of the time when we are actually working with a team. So somebody creates a provisioning profile, he might accidentally forget to add the certificate that you need, or you didn't actually install your certificate or didn't create a certificate for yourself. Now definitely each developer should have their own development certificate. Otherwise you have to export that certificate from someone else's machine to your machine, which is not a good practice. So yeah, try to have your own certificate install in your Mac so that this provisioning profile, whenever it is installed, it should not make any problem. And obviously that provisioning profile should also have your certificate there. So yeah, we already have our certificate here. Once we just click it, it will add it on the keychain. Now we can actually go back to the Xcode and we can see it is actually working perfectly. So yeah, we have like hello world. We can say hi there, and we can actually run it on this Mac, right? So this is the Mac. If I don't have the provisioning profile having this Mac ID or UUID, then I wouldn't be able to run it on this Mac. So it is now there, so I should be able to run the app on this Mac. So yeah, it is now showing hi there, and it is actually installed as an app. So I can also search it for this app name, sample demo app. As you can see, here it is. So I can actually select it and this app is installed. So yeah, that's how it works. So we just created a development provisioning profile some times ago, and through that development provisioning profile we can actually run the app on the developer iPhone or iPad, even in the Mac. The thing is that if that device is connected with the development machine or development Mac, then only this provisioning profile will work. But what about a device which I cannot connect with my development machine? So for that reason, I need to create an ad hoc provisioning profile. The steps are same. As you can see, there is also a device list. Here is also the device list, app ID, but the difference is the development certificate and ad hoc certificate. So we have done this part, and again, using this provisioning profile, I can run the app on the device which is connected with the development machine. But if it is not connected with the development machine, then I need to create an ad hoc provisioning profile, and using that I will create a IPA and will distribute it over the year, and then the user of the device can actually download that IPA and use or install it on his phone or on his any iDevices. Just to make sure that this device, when I'm actually distributing the OTA distribution, that device also need to be added here. So each device which will be running the app need to be listed here on this ad hoc provisioning profile. I hope that makes sense. So let us create an ad hoc provisioning profile. So we're gonna go one by one. We already have a app ID and we again have a device list. So if we have a new device which is for the OTA distribution device, then we need to add it also here. One example can be like the some client who is actually not live on the same location, he lives in another place. We can actually distribute the app through the TestFlight or any other OTA distribution platform, and he can actually install it. But that device need to be here also, need to be listed here. So for this part, we will create an ad hoc provisioning profile, and for that we need to first create an ad hoc certificate, and then we're gonna create an ad hoc provisioning profile. So let us jump in. So we need to go with the certificate, and then we're gonna create a new certificate, and it will be Apple distribution, right? There is also other distribution, but we're gonna actually focus on your Apple distribution. And then I need to create a CSR file. So I'm gonna use the same CSR file that I used to create for development certificates. It's totally fine. Why? Because this certificate or CSR actually identify who I am, the valid or the authenticated developer. That's it, nothing else. So I can use the same CSR file. So here is the certificate signing request file, CSR file. I'm gonna select it, continuing, and then the certificate is already been done, created. So now I need to actually install it also, because if I don't install it, then definitely it will not work. So I can actually install it here. So it is a distribution certificate. Just add me a bit of cosmetics things. I think that should be fine. Okay, now that's been added. Now what's next? The next thing is to create a profile, right? So here we can see the ad hoc provisioning profile need to have ad hoc certificate. We have done it. Now we are actually creating an ad hoc profile. So again, creating a profile, and this time it will be a distribution ad hoc profile, right? Okay, moving on. Now I need to select the app ID. So this is the app ID. the sample demo app. That's the app ID. So let us select this one. So sample demo app, that's it. And we need to create the certificate, the distribution certificate. We just created it some time ago. Moving forward, now I need to have the Mac also, because I will actually use the OTA to install the app on my Mac machine also. This is also used on the development time, but it can be also used in distribution time. Consider like this is some kind of like client device, and you need to add it here also. So I'm selecting it. Moving forward, now I need to give a name for it. So again, going with the app name, but it is a distribution profile, right? So as it said, it's a distribution profile for whom? For sample demo app. So I think that's pretty much it. Now I can actually generate that provisioning profile, and it is now ready to install. So I can actually download it. Yep, sample app distribution provisioning profile. It's done. So now I can actually install the provisioning profile. Clicking it will add on the Xcode. So now when I want to distribute the app, I can do it from here. So for today, that's it. From the next one, we will actually distribute an IPA to an OTA distribution platform. We will be using TestFlight. So we have already installed our development and distribution provisioning profile alongside with our certificates. So just to check if our development and distribution certificate is in there or not, so we can actually open our keychain and see that this is the distribution and this is the development certificate. So it seems fine. Certificate is valid, so it's fine. Now we can actually start our distribution of the app. The very first thing, when we want to upload an IPA to the TestFlight, it is required to have a app icon. So we just added some sample app icon. Now we're gonna just comment it. Okay, and now we can actually create an IPA. So to create an IPA, let's just have first select the app and then the device. We can select any iOS devices. From there we can actually select product and then archive. Okay, so we're gonna actually archive it, and this is like telling me to use Xcode Cloud, and definitely we will go there, but for now we're gonna actually look it back in some future time. So let us now actually create an archive of the IPA. So yeah, it will take some time. I will skip some step. So see you soon. So now it is actually asking me for my password. So this is kind of like Xcode actually trying to access the keychain, stuff like that. So I'm giving access. Now I have the archive version. Now I'm gonna be actually distributing the app. So let us start. Now it will be an App Store Connect or TestFlight internal use. I think for now App Store Connect is totally fine. We might go with the internal in some future, but right now it is App Store Connect only. So now it will be like start preparing and uploading the IPA. In the meantime, I will be again ask for some access maybe. Let's see. It actually start to change in every version, so don't know. Let's see. Okay, now the app is ready. We can actually see this app on our App Store Connect. So let us move to our App Store Connect. So we was here on the developer portal, Apple developer account, and now we actually moving to App Store Connect. And we already have created the demos application on the app section for the App Store Connect. Otherwise, we will not be able to upload the IPA to the App Store Connect. So now we can go TestFlight. So as now we can see, this is now processing. Once it is processed, we will be able to distribute the app through TestFlight. And before that, we need to fill some information, and this is the content of the next part. So today we will see how we can actually release our IPA or app into the App Store. So we uploaded iOS build some times ago. Now we can actually release this build to the App Store. So we just wanted to focus on App Store Connect, where we have 3 different sections: Xcode Cloud for CI/CD platform, TestFlight for uploading the build or IPA, and then to distribute it among the testers. The tester can be internal or external. And finally, we have distribution tab, where we will be uploading our app for the App Store release. App Store release is also the public release. So let us dive into it and understand what information we need to fill to release the app. So there is different section. The very first one is the iOS app. So 1.0, prepare for submission. Interestingly, whenever you want to release a build for the App Store, it need to be always 1.0, the very first version. If you have something other than 1.0, it will not be accepted by the review team of the Apple. So make sure you are always using the 1.0 version. You can find the version number here. Interestingly, you can also add another platform like macOS or tvOS or visionOS, but currently we will not be focusing on there. We will just focus how we can actually release an iOS app on the App Store. This app is kind of like iPhone and iPad compatible, so I need to add the screenshot. Promotional text is not necessary for the first version. Now we're gonna fill some description text. Keywords, support URL, copyright. So this is the company which actually owns the app or the person. So I am writing it down like this way. And then we need to add the build. We will add our existing build. On the app preview information, I need to fill the contact information. This person will be contacted by Apple if there is something unclear. If you need to have some kind of special login for the Apple people to look into your app, here is the place you can provide the username and password. For me, it is not required, so I'm not putting anything here. And there should be some notes explaining how to test this app for the Apple people or the review people. And if you need some attachment, you can add it. But for now, I think I don't need it. I always make sure my apps are released manually. The reason is that I think it is better to have a manual release, or at least the manual release of public version of the app. So yeah, but it could be something different for you. So it's up to you. Saving the changes. The next thing we want to fill up is the app information. Let us fill our app name and subtitle. Now let us fill up the category, the main or primary category of the app. For me, it will be education. Now I also need to fill the content rights. So for me, it do not show any kind of third-party content, but yeah, fill what is appropriate for you. The final thing to fill up on this page is the age rating. So I don't have any cartoon or fantasy violence. So yeah, I am filling the information that is required for this app. So feel free what is appropriate for your app. Moving to next one. Moving to the next screen. So yeah, again moving to the next screen. My age rating is done, so I'm making it complete. Moving to app privacy. Here we will add an privacy policy URL. Saving the changes. Now once we have added the privacy policy URL, it is time for us to add some information to make sure we are actually collecting the data appropriately according to Apple. For this, we need to have the access of an admin. So let us start. For me, there is no third-party partners to collect this data, so I'm saving it, publishing the changes. Finally, moving to the pricing. So this will be a free app. Moving to the next screen. Confirming the pricing. Once we have added all the information, we can now add this app for review. Confirming the app preview. Okay, we have now actually submitted our app for review. We can see here it is now on the waiting for review. So that's it. Once the app is reviewed, we can actually release this app to the App Store for public release. So yeah, that's conclude this section. So we already created a distribution profile, and previously we created a development profile. So using this profile, we can actually distribute the app directly connected with the development machine. And for the distribution profile, we can actually distribute the IPA to any IPA distribution platform such as TestFlight. So we're gonna go that part, but before that, I just want to share a recap of how things are going. So this tutorial is just a recap how things actually works. So very first thing is that we created a CSR, certificate signing request, from our keychain to create certificate like development certificate and distribution certificate. But if we install the development and distribution certificate, if we miss another intermediate certificate which Apple's provide, then we will have some kind of issues in our keychain saying that this certificate, the development or the distribution certificate, is not trusted. So for that, we need this intermediate certificate, and we can actually find it from the certificate. Whenever we want to create another certificate, just scroll down and you will find this certificate here. So pretty simple and straightforward. Okay, now once we have created the certificate, we need to add devices, which can be also for development purpose and which can also be for distribution purpose, like someone who is not has access to the development machine, who lives in another place. For that, we need to distribute the IPA to his mobile or his iPad. So for that, we need to add his device ID on our device list here. Okay, now once we have the device list, certificates, and an app ID, so now it is time for us to create provisioning profile. The development provisioning profile will be using development certificate to distribute the app in the devices which is connected to the developer machine. The important thing is that it is only usable when that iPhone or iPad is connected with the development machine. Otherwise, it is not usable to distribute the app. Now, if we want to distribute the app over the year, we don't want to have a physical connection with the Mac, then we're gonna use the distribution profile. So once we have installed the distribution profile and the certificate and other stuffs, then we can actually distribute the IPA, which is the iPhone application, to any OTA platform such as TestFlight to distribute the IPA. So pretty much it. So make sure you have installed the certificate, all the development and distribution certificate, and even the intermediate certificate, and also the provisioning profiles. So once you have done it, you are ready to go. Okay, so I think now we are ready to go. Till now we was talking regarding manual way of creating and uploading the build, but that's a manual way, and when there is a manual way, a human mistake can happen. And also in that scenario, creating and building and also uploading that build to testing devices or testers, is dependent on a single person, and if he is unavailable, then on an emergency situation, the team is in a very bad situation, in a bad condition. So we don't want to be on that part. And also, even in a single person team, like always having that manual way of uploading and creating builds is kind of like very time consuming thing. We can start use some kind of CI/CD stuff or platform which will make that automation. We need not to go with the manual way of creating and building and like distributing the IPA to the testers. So during the year 2021-22, Apple actually rolled out Xcode Cloud, which is a CI/CD platform focused on Apple development. So this is still in the early phase. There is some issues, but Apple is resolving them very quickly. I am using Xcode Cloud for the last 2 years, and I'm very happy with it, especially the platform. And also, I can test it on the beta releases of macOS and iOS. Also, there is the cost is very low regarding the other CI/CD platforms, and eventually it is kind of like blended with your workflow, which is the best. So everything I know is already there, and I don't need to learn anything new to start with Xcode Cloud. So once we have our source code, we can actually push that source code to our remote repository. For me, it is now GitHub. It could be GitLab or anything else. So once I have pushed that code on my GitHub repo on a branch update or even on a pull request, I can create a workflow which will notify Xcode Cloud to fetch the latest code from the GitHub and then build that code to create an IPA and probably test that IPA and then to distribute that IPA to the testing devices. And all these things will be done in an automatic way. I will just push my code on the GitHub repo and that's it. And probably if it is required, then I will create a pull request. But other than that, it is pretty much automated. So it's an awesome thing. A lot of time and effort and energy is saved if we use CI/CD. So yeah, that's the overview. So on the last episode, we saw that a diagram explaining how actually Xcode Cloud or CI/CD stuff in general works. So on this episode, we will work directly on the code base and the setup so that I can actually use the Xcode Cloud. So here is the diagram. On a very first look, it looks a lot of things, a lot of components out there. Yeah, it is there, but most of them is kind of like very first time setup. And once we have the setup done, it's pretty much easy thing. We're gonna just push the code or merge the pull request and it will be doing the things automatically. But the first time setup is kind of like a bit overwhelming. Though Apple actually makes it very easy introducing the Xcode Cloud. So hopefully it will be fine. Let us start. So the very first part is to going with the developer account and registering an Apple ID or app ID. Alternatively, we can say it bundle ID. So here we are. We have the app ID or bundle ID, which is the sample demo app, and com.moviedevtalk.sample demo app. So this is the very first thing we need to go with the registering an app ID on the developer account. The next step is to registering an app on the App Store Connect. So here is our App Store Connect, and on there we have the app demo sample application, and we're gonna register an app. So we already have that done. So I'm not going through the again registering an app. So as just to say that we have the same bundle ID. In my case, the app registration is also in done stage on the App Store Connect. What's next? The next step is to go with the TestFlight, and then we have to fill some information on the TestFlight. Here is the TestFlight, and we are again in the App Store Connect. So we are in this block, App Store Connect TestFlight. So now we need to fill the beta app information. So on the TestFlight, and we need to have the test information, I guess. Yeah, here it is. And then we need to fill some information. So Beta app description, I am just filling some text here. You can write what is required for you. Okay, and then I need a feedback email. Okay, what's next? The contact information. So right now I need to fill the contact information, so let me fill it. So when we are actually filling the phone number, we have to make sure that we're actually adding the country code and also the plus sign, otherwise it will not process, or like it will have some issues. Okay, so we fill the beta app information, feedback email URL, feedback email, and also the contact information, and we put the plus and country code here. So it should be done on this state. Okay, it's safe. What's next? The next step is to add the app ID on the Xcode. So let us move on our Xcode, and we already have the app ID or bundle identifier added on our project as it was already been uploaded. We have a build or version which was manually uploaded to the TestFlight. So we already have everything set up. Now we are actually migrating that manual way to an automatic way, CI/CD stuff. So yeah, so we already have the app. We already have the bundle identifier. So if you don't have it, you just need to add it. So that's why the flowchart is here to give us a full pictures idea what is going on, what to be done. Okay, so we have our bundle identifier added here. Now we need to add the app category. So let us move to app category. So let us choose app category. For me, it is now just education purpose. Choose whatever suits your case. Okay, what's next? And then we need to add the app icon. Okay, so I think we already have the app icon there. If you don't have, then you need to add the app icon here. Otherwise, you will not be able to distribute the app. Okay, now we need to update the build version. We already have one build, which is build 1, I guess, if I'm not wrong. Here it is the build version 1.0. So if we again upload something which is one version build num, then it will not be processed. So we need to have a different build number. So let us update it. Okay, what's next? Then actually this is pretty much done on this here on this part. Now we actually need to move to GitHub and create a repo. Okay, so now we're actually creating a GitHub repo. So I'm just filling the information. They are like dummy text. Fill what is necessary for you. So yeah, let us create a repository. So now I have created my repository. Now I need to set up some stuff. The very first thing is that I want to make sure my main is very protected. So I'm gonna set some rules, some branch rules. Okay, so let us choose a new branch rule set. So I'm actually choosing the active state for the enforcement status, and I'm just putting a name of main branch. I don't want anyone to bypass it. So now I'm gonna add a target branch. I'm gonna just include default branch, and if we want to see, in our case, main is the default branch. So we can go there and we can see here is the main and it is the default branch. Okay, so now we have added the default target branch rule set. So let us create the rule set. Okay, now the rule set is created. So I should be able to push on main. I need to make a pull request to update the main branch. So the main branch is kind of like now protected. Now once we have created our Git remote repository, we need to add the remote on our project. So let us do that. We can verify the remote addition. Okay, so it's done. Let us first move this main branch of our local to a new branch so that we can actually pull the latest changes of the main branch from the remote. Okay. We are adding the project file and then we are actually committing the changes. We are moving back to main. We are pulling the latest changes from the main. So pulling the latest changes from the main. So now we are actually merging the main into Xcode Cloud integration branch. Now our Xcode Cloud integration branch has the latest changes from the main. So now we can actually update our main with the Xcode Cloud integration after a pull request. Okay, so we have added a repo on the GitHub and also add that repo on our remote on the Xcode or in our source code. So we can verify it by a git push, and this is optional. If you want, you can try it, but I'm pretty confident that it is working, so I'm not gonna do that git push right now. So right now the next step is to add a workflow from the Xcode, and this workflow is for Xcode Cloud. So we will create an Xcode Cloud's workflow from the Xcode. Okay, so we are now in this step. So let us start. We first need to go to Xcode, and then from there we need to go to the last element of it and then Xcode Cloud. So now there is no Xcode Cloud integrated, and also I'm been signed out, so I'm gonna sign in and continue with the Xcode Cloud flow. So now as I am logged in my Apple developer account from Xcode, now I can actually initiate the Xcode Cloud workflow. As you can see, I have already added a destination for iOS and macOS and Vision OS. So I will have different targets when I actually start to create the workflow. So here it is. Now one for iOS and another one for macOS and Vision OS. So I'm not gonna go with this one. I will be starting the workflow for the iOS only target. Okay, let me go to the next screen. And now I have a workflow. I want to edit it. This workflow is to just test and build, right? And then we're gonna go with the distribution thing. So the name of this workflow will be, and the description will be. So I have added the name and the description. My primary repository already been selected from my remote, and then the project or workspace is also been selected automatically. I will be using the latest release for my environment, both for Xcode and macOS. Now for the start condition, I want to use pull request changes, not the branch changes. Currently, for any file changes, this build will trigger, and the source branch can be any, but the destination or target branch is main. I'm also selecting the auto cancellation build, which means that whenever there is a advanced build, the previous build will be cancelled if it is not been completed yet. For the actions, I will be choosing the build and test. So my platform will be iOS only. The schema is the demo app schema, and it will be built for any devices. I will also add an action of test. Now I need my test to pass, and also I'm using the schema settings. So pretty much it. I'm not going to archive the iOS in this workflow. It will be a separated workflow, so I'm removing it. The chronology should be build first and then to test. So I am updating the chronology for build first and then to test. On the post section, I can actually notify. If I need to notify the build success or failure to a Slack channel or an email, I can add it. But for now, I don't need it. So I'm not going to do anything on the post section. So my workflow is pretty much done for the build and test workflow. So I'm saving it, moving on the next screen. On the next screen, I need to grant an access to the GitHub repo. So let us do that. It will move us first to the App Store Connect. And from there, we will move to GitHub. I am selecting the repo. And now I will be moved back to Xcode. And it seems it is been worked. So let us move to the next screen. So yeah, we have done it. We have added a workflow on Xcode Cloud. We grant access on the GitHub repo. So it is pretty much done. So let's make it complete. Now, if we want, we can start a build, but we're not gonna do it. We're gonna follow the regular process. So yeah, we will create a pull request and we will see that our build and test been running. Okay, so let's move forward. We're gonna close this screen. So we have just completed the add a workflow from Xcode and then grant the repo access from GitHub, right? So this thing is done. Now we're gonna verify the workflow from Xcode Cloud of the App Store Connect. Okay, so let us move to the Xcode Cloud. So we have just created our workflow, and on that workflow, for any source branch, if it make a pull request to the main branch, this workflow will trigger. And on that workflow, there is actually two actions. One is build and one for test. So currently we can build the app, but we don't have any test target on our project. So let us create one iOS app test target. So we're gonna select the iOS and it should be unit test bundle. Name should be sample demo app test. Okay, we can move forward. We can remove the junk and verify if our test step is working. Okay, there is a version mismatch, so let me fix it. For the app on the iOS it is 18.2, but on the test it is 18.4. So we're gonna just match it. Okay, so now we are actually ready. So let us fail the test first and then we're gonna make it pass. Okay, so successfully we was able to fail our test. So now let us make it pass. Okay, that's a green state, so we can now commit. Okay, so now I'm gonna actually push these changes to the branch and push it on the remote repository and have a pull request to simulate the workflow. This is just a simulation. It is not the exact way we're gonna write production code. There will be definitely tests, but this is not that simple test. On some future episode, we might go with the test-driven development, but for now, it is just a placeholder and a check mark that this is done on this way. Okay, so let us commit. Adding test. Now we will be pushing the changes on the remote branch. And now from the GitHub, we will make a pull request. Creating the pull request. So once we make the pull request, our Xcode Cloud workflow kicks in, and we can see it is now actually building and start testing the code. So we can see it also from the App Store Connect. From the build, we can see that it is actually running. Okay, now our pull request been approved. We can actually merge it. So on our build and test workflow, we was just building and testing the app, but was not doing any kind of distribution. So let us create a new workflow where we can actually distribute the IPA to our testers. But to do that, we need to have a branch which is specific to release. So we will create a new release branch, and any changes on that release branch will trigger a distribution of the IPA. So let us create our new branch first. Let us make it a protected branch also. Creating a new rule set for the release branch. Okay, we are actually creating the new rule set for the release branch. Now, once we have our rule set ready for the release branch, we can use this release branch to make a new workflow for distributing the IPA. This time we will be using beta version of Xcode and macOS, just to make sure that when this beta version of the software become available, our code is ready before that release of the beta version of Xcode and macOS. This is an option I would like to have on one of my workflow, but it is up to you if you want to have it or not. But for me, I think having that readiness before coming a better release is kind of a like good way, because I know that my software will break in this next beta release. So yeah, the workflow will start when any changes of the release branch occurs. Okay, it will auto cancel also. And now I am adding an action. So I want to archive the build and to distribute it then later time. So for now, I am actually choosing the App Store Connect. I am actually targeting the release branch just to make sure whenever those changes been pushed on the release branch, it will trigger an archive of macOS and distribute it to the App Store Connect user, saving the workflow. Now let us move to TestFlight. I am adding a new internal test group. I am also enabling the automatic distribution. Now I am adding a new tester on the core team internal group. Remember that whenever you are actually trying to add a tester on the internal group, you need to have that tester or person added on the App Store Connect, because it is an internal test group. But when it is an external test group, then you need not to have that internal role for the App Store Connect. So I am adding myself as a tester in the core team. Let us have an external testing group also. We are naming this group as the alpha tester. Now, to distribute the app, I can either email the distribution link or I can use a public link. It is up to you, whatever suits your needs. For now, I will be just using the public link to distribute the build. I will make it available for anyone who can actually have the link. Confirming. Okay, so our workflow is done. We have added our tester. So right now we can actually distribute the app. So let us update our text and to see it on the release version of the app. We are commenting and pushing the changes on the remote. Now we will be merging the main into the release branch to trigger our distribution. Usually it takes some time when we're actually using the branch update for the workflow. So let us wait for it. Okay, so our release branch is updated, and for that reason our distribution workflow actually run, and at the end of it we have a build. Now remember that we actually used to archive the Mac OS. So right now we will be distributing the Mac OS on the distribution channel. So from the TestFlight and on the Mac OS, now I need to fix the compliance issue. I am not using any kind of algorithm for the encryption, so the none of settings is good for me. So on the external tester, for the alpha testers, I can actually select this build for distribution. And as you can see, it is a macOS version, and it is this build we can actually release. I will not need any kind of sign in. So I am just populating some text for the tester. Now our build been added. So when we are actually distributing the app on the external testing group, we need to wait for an build review. So let us wait for it for some time. Okay, finally our build been approved. So we was going with the alpha testing group and it was an external testing group. So we need to have the build reviewed by Apple, and now it is actually approved. So now we can actually distribute the app through alpha channel. So yeah, it was for the first time it took a bit more time, like I would say like 10 hours, close to 10 hours, and then it was like reviewed. So yeah, it get changed sometimes it get faster, sometimes it get like this. So yeah, so now what we was planning that we will be sharing this IPA through a public link rather than adding email. The process is same. So finally we have a link which we can share with the tester, and if we share and if we open this link, he will have some kind of view like this where he can actually download the TestFlight, or he can just view it on the TestFlight if he's already have the installation of the TestFlight. So now we are actually opening the TestFlight for this app. Now we are having this one, we can say install. So this process will be pretty much same for every tester. Okay, installing the app. Okay, it's now done. So what we change? We change the text to OTA. So now we should have a global icon and an OTA text on that screen. So here we go. We are opening the app, and it is just how you can actually, information, minimal information, and how to like take a screenshot. Yep. So now our app is opened. So as we said, it will have a global icon and an OTA text. So global icon and OTA text. So that's actually finishing our Xcode Cloud episode. So it was a massive one. It took a lot of time to like go through all the details thing, but it is definitely worthy. Xcode Cloud is definitely worthy if you are an iOS developer and want to use the CI/CD platform. Xcode Cloud will beat everything else because of the cost, because of the simplicity, because of the integrated environment. So yeah, so we was here once we merged the pull request on a specific branch, which was release branch. We wait for the build, and if there was any compliance missing, we added those things, and then we actually add the tester on the test group. And once everything is processed, the tester can open the redeem code or the link on his mobile and open the, using the TestFlight, he can actually install the app. So this actually conclude our whole process. Our journey started from developer.apple.com account. We register an app ID, and from the App Store Connect, we register an app using that same app ID. Then on the TestFlight, we actually fill the beta app information, and then on the Xcode, we actually add the app ID and category, app icon, build version update, then adding a remote of GitHub, and then actually like pushing that source code on that remote. And in the meantime, we actually already added a workflow which actually triggered the distribution. So for me, I usually use two different type of workflow. The first one is to build and test. So it is usually happens with the main branch. So whenever I have a source branch, any feature branch as a source branch, when I make a pull request to the main, my build and test actually get runs. So I know that nothing is failing before merging it with the main, in the main. And another workflow usually is the distribution workflow, where I actually have a release branch. When it is get updated, this workflow is triggered and an IPA is distributed to the tester. So these two workflow works for me. It could be different for you. Definitely it will be different for you. So yeah, so try it. I'm pretty sure you will feel a lot comfortable and a lot easy to adapt Xcode Cloud. If you haven't, you are missing a lot of good opportunities here, because Xcode Cloud is something which is comes 25 hours, if I'm not wrong, free for the $100 account purchase or developer account. So why not? You have a free CI/CD stuff, right, for 25 hours. So why not to use it? And then there is different packages. If you like expire the free 20 or 25 hours, then you need to buy a subscription for more hours. There is some tricky things to do, right? If you have library, you can break down your source code based on library, and you can just run those library or project when you are actually using the Xcode Cloud. That way you can actually decrease the hours a lot. So that's a topic for another series probably. So yeah, stay tuned, it will be coming. Thank you for coming to this end. It was a great pleasure to have you, and I'm very happy to finish this series, because when I was starting my career, it was definitely not easy thing to go with all those manual way of creating certificates, provisioning profile, and updating them. Those were challenging thing. There was no resource available back that time, very limited resource. So I hope that this video series actually helps a lot of our starter who is actually starting the journey for iOS development. And I'm pretty sure it will help among us who is in the intermediate or like in the middle level of the career. So yeah, thank you, take care, see you in some next series. Till then, bye bye.